I didn't get a chance to make a separate video about the assignments yesterday. I didn't have time, so I thought I'd start off just with that. It's just one page. It won't take long. Hopefully it's pretty self-explanatory. People hopefully used to it by now, but for this week of 9:14 to 9:18, we're going to do sections 2.3 and 2.4. And so the 2.3 practice problems are 7, 9. They've got a lot of parts, 11 to 21 odd. And in 2.4, the practice problems are 7 to 23 odd. So pretty much sticking to the front of the sections on these. Not for a grade by themselves, but we will have quiz 4 on Friday, 9:18. Same format, due Sunday, 9:20. Be directly based on them. Web assigned problems for this week. Off the personal study plan, practice quiz, section 2.3. They've got a lot of stuff on there I don't really want to mess with, so I stuck to 1 part A and part B, 2 part A, 3 part A and B, 4A and B only. Just only. There's stuff about increasing and decreasing and max and min that I don't want to mess with right now. Section 2.4, problems 1A and B, 2A and B, 3A and B, and 4A and B only. You can just email me the percent of these problems you get correct. Just send me an email, get them all right, 100%. This one, 7 out of 8, we'll get the percent. Just email me the percent you get right. I also have sent everybody their first grade report, and I just wanted to maybe explain a little bit. I sent around an email note, but it's pretty terse and might help if I maybe explained it just slightly. This is just a same form, but I just punched in student and put in some random numbers. So we've got a column for every grade category we have. And the grades we haven't taken, we haven't had a proctored test grade, so I put in a 70, and we haven't had the final exam, so I put in a 70. Basically, I'm assuming you pass those. Those are just placeholder grades. When we take the real grades, we'll punch over those. We've got 1 non-proctored test grade. We got the syllabus quiz up here, and then 2 other quiz grades. And then we've got 3 web assigned grades. So then the averages of those columns are down here. The equation to give you your grade is right here. Just these averages times their percentage, and the percentages are over here. 30% for the proctored test grade, 20% for the middle, and 10% for the final. Then I give you, like I say, the equation to get your grade, and then I give you 3 lines to tell you what you need to get on the final to make an A, B, or C. This person's not doing too good. They need a 369 to get an A, a 269 on the final to get a B, or 169, and the final goes from 0 to 100, so that isn't going to happen for this poor student. And then finally, this number here at the bottom, under final grade, you can take as your current average in the class, again with 70s for the missing grades. The letter grade will stay blank until the very end when I send you a final report after the final, and I will fill in the letter grade, and that's the letter grade I intend to turn into Banner Web. Look for zeros on any of these. If you think if I've got a 0 for you, you think it's unjust, you turn that in, well, send me an email and we'll investigate why I think there's a 0. But in any case, if you keep a record of what you've turned in, then you can check with my record, and we will try to send these out after every test so you can keep a record. You'll see the grades fill in down the columns as the semester goes on. All right, I hope that helped.
I have a question.
Sure, go right ahead.
Hopefully it doesn't sound like a lot. Is there any way you can send out an email of a list of things that we should have turned in by now?
Yeah, I could probably do that. Basically, there is 1 test grade.
Yeah, and including the web assigned stuff.
Yeah,
I've forgotten to turn in.
Okay. There are, in fact, I'm making up the email right here. There are actually 4. I just recorded quiz 3 because quiz 3 was due this last night, Sunday night. So with the syllabus quiz and quiz 1, 2, and 3, there's 4 quiz grades. And there are, I believe, 3 WebAssign grades. And that's what we've done so far. Yeah, I could probably make up an email with this. And this is 11 because the other classes are slightly different. So this is for 11. Yeah, probably a good idea. Tell everybody what they
Thank you.
should have turned in by now.
And I did have 2, I'm back. I did have 2 grades that had a 0, but I know I turned them in. So I thought that was strange. But I sent you an email about it. So
Okay.
whenever you get to it.
Yes, what happens is, like say I got 140 students, so I'll go through and do a check for a whole class. And that's what's in my grade book. And then I go ahead and send out a report. And then if somebody, turned it in after I did the check, I may not have gone back and caught that. I don't have a notice. I generally do a check after every test.
Right. And then, so some of them I submitted late because I was just a little behind. I'm totally caught up now, but I was a little bit late on some of those quizzes. So that's probably why. But I sent you an email about it. You'll see it when you see it.
Sure thing. I'll get it and I'll go back through the forms and I can record those grades and send you an updated grade report.
Perfect. Thank you.
It probably won't happen tonight because we'll be.
No, that's okay. Take your time. It's fine.
Okay. Sometime this week.
Yeah, that's fine. I understand. I'm busy too.
Sure thing. Let's see. Yes, did y'all want to have any questions or any problems you wanted to see?
I haven't gotten the chance to start on any. Is there any way you could go over some?
Sure. Give you an introduction to 2-3. Go ahead.
Mr. C, I just have a quick question about these Zoom meetings. Is the format, if I attend a Zoom meeting on Monday, is it basically the same content as on Thursday, or do you just tailor them to the class? Would it be beneficial for me to attend both every week, do you think?
Well, basically what happens is I kind of ask for any questions. So if people want to see a specific problem, and by Thursday, you may have had a chance to look more and have more questions. So there may be more questions on Thursday I can answer. Tonight,
Okay.
Really haven't had a chance. I just posted the sheet of the assignment yesterday. I just went over it today. So people may not have had a chance to actually look at it. So I was going to just work through some of the beginning problems to try to get you started.
Okay, thank you. Okay, that makes sense. Thank you.
Right now on Thursday, we will be going over the same section. It'll still be 2-3 and 2-4, but you probably will, hopefully, some students will have a lot more questions by then.
Okay.
At it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, well, to get started on 2-3, 2-3 is about getting information from a graph. And, there's no real lecture for this. Basically, you got to work through a problem. You can see the kind of information that they want you to get. So this is off page 215. Might as well look at the first homework problem was number 7. I'll show you it in the book if I can do it without disturbing. May not be able to do it without disturbing my cord. Maybe I can do it this way. Okay. Number 7, and it works off of this graph. So you can read the kind of stuff that they want want you to know. Once you see it done, it's not that hard. It might read like gibberish if you're not used to it. Let me get a quick sketch of the graph. It starts at -3 and 3. Closed dot there. It kind of crosses just left of -1. It goes through like -2 and up 1. Okay, and then at 0 down 1, dips, crosses just after 1, and goes up to 2 and 3, where it peaks at 3 and 4, and then comes down to 4 and 3, and goes with a closed circle. They're labeling this H, this is the y-axis, this is the x-axis. Okay, part A, they want 4 things. This is almost more of a project than a problem. Find H of -2. All right, in the function notation, this is the x value. So notice from the vertical line test last section for function, this is a function. If I go to -2, there's only one place to go. And that is the value you need to get. In effect, it's the y value at x is -2. It looks like it'd be +1. Anybody have a question about that?
No questions.
No questions. Okay. So there's 3 others. H of 0, again, that's an x value. So x is 0 is the y-axis, and the place to go is to right there. That would be -1. These are y values. Y values. Y value. The other 2 are h of 2 and h of 3. Again, these are the x's, so I find them along the x-axis. There's 2, and it goes up to 3. This would be equal to 3. And h of 3 is at this peak, and it would be 4. Any questions about that? Sorry if it doesn't quite line up. I'm trying to freehand draw it.
When you mean the H part, is the H part how it goes up and down?
The h part is this curve. They're not giving you a formula for it. They are just giving you the graph of it. So we can't punch this in directly on the graphing calculator. We got no formula for it. So that's the meaning of this h. And this is y is h of x, and it follows this curve. So at each x, you get the output value by going to where vertically up to where the curve is and reading the number. Does that help?
Yes, sir.
Okay. B, they want 2 things, domain and range. And that's x min, x max. All right. No formula for this. I'm basically looking for the minimum x. How far does it go left? Well, it stops here at -3, closed circle, put a bracket there, and it goes all the way to +4. So it covers x's between -3 and +4. And with closed circles on both ends, that would put brackets. So it has all x's between -3 and 4, including -3 and 4. You see how technical this could get. There's actually 3 other cases. They could open this, in which case there'd be a parentheses there. They could open this one, put a parentheses there. They could put open circles on both and put parentheses on both. But they chose not to do that here. Questions about that?
Yes, sir.
For the range, Y min, Y max. So this is basically going vertically, this is going horizontally. So the minimum Y here, thinking vertically, minimum Y is right there. Now, the book doesn't have a closed dot there. I just did it for drawing purposes, but there's no open. If they didn't want that used, they just stuck an open circle, and there's none in the book. So it kind of goes through. So that puts the lowest value at -1. And every Y is covered all the way up to this peak, 4. And again, because there's no open circles, you would have brackets. I don't know why I stuck a comma there. You have brackets. Questions about that?
So the domain, rather, I'm sorry, yes, the domain is always going to be the X min and X max. The domain is X values, range is Y values.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Now, if they'd given me a formula, I'd have tried to follow my rules about does it have problems? Meaning I'm looking for square roots and fractions. And that's what you do with formulas.
Okay.
But with this, if they'd really wanted to make this technical and complicated and mess with your head, they'd have stuck an open circle somewhere. And if they had, then you, like right here, if there'd been an open circle right here, I couldn't have used 2. Then all of a sudden, busted up from -3 to 2, and then from 2 to 4. And so, yeah, they can mess with your head pretty good on some of these. But they would show that with open circles.
Okay.
And they did not do that here. Okay. The last 3 parts get a little more technical with, and read like kind of like gibberish. Let's try C first, then D works off of C. They want you to find X values for which H of X, that's the name of it, H of X equals 3. Right, now H of X is a Y. And I think we mentioned very first of the semester that Y equals 3 are horizontal lines. So it's a matter of finding Y equals 3, and you got a horizontal line there. That's Y equals 3, or they're using function H of X equals 3. Is this horizontal line?
Okay, Mr. C,
Yes.
I'm sorry, why in H of X does the X equal Y when in parts A and B, your parenthetical numerical values were the X value?
What I'm saying here is that this entire thing is a Y, not the part in here.
I see, okay.
If you ever see a function notation, if they call it f of X, G of X, X, H of X, and this one, you can replace these with Y, always.
Okay. And that makes sense because because when in part A equals 1 equals -1 equals 3 equals 4, they equal Y. So you said those were Y values.
Right.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, so when they say find the X values, you got to come up to that line. Everywhere along that line, Y is 3. And the X values are going to be where it crosses the curve. You see there's 3 of them. That one's going to be at -3. The next one right here is going to be at 2. And the last one over there is at 4. Those are the X values for which the Y is equal to 3. You can read them off the coordinates. The coordinate at -3 is -3, 3. I don't know if this helps. Next one's 2 and 3. The next one is 4 and 3. So you're over 4 up 3. Here you're over 2 up 3. Here you're at -3 up 3. So these are the x values. That's what they want. And the y is 3. Questions about that?
No. Makes sense.
Okay. Because now you're going to go on to part D, and they're going to stick a less than above that equals. So now you got to figure out, how does that change things? Let me try to keep this in view. D. Find x values for which your h of x is less than or equal to 3. This again means this entire h of x is y, then less than or equal to 3. That means you are below the line. Back to the curve. I have to redraw the graph here. You're below the line if y is less than or equal to 3. I don't know if you remember the very first stuff of the semester in the first section. You had dash lines if there was no or equal to. And then you had,
Yes.
if there was an or equal to, it was solid. So your y's, you see, this is y is 1, y is 2. You're below the line. I'll write that back here. The less than means you're below the line. Y equals 3. So these numbers here, go ahead.
If it's well, no, that probably sounds really dumb.
No, go ahead.
No, don't stop sounding dumb. You ask whatever question you want.
If it's equal to, does that mean it can go above or below?
No, if it's equal to, it's right on the line. That's
okay.
Part C.
What if it's greater than? Does that mean it's above?
Exactly, because you're at 4.
Okay.
5. Yeah, you're above the line.
Okay, that makes more sense now. Sorry.
No problem.
No apologies.
No problem. Okay, so your answers are intervals between -3, 2, and 4. Yeah, it's tough to redraw it right here. So take a look. If you're less than or equal to 3, you see starting at, you're going to start at the -3. See how the curve is below? And it's below all the way to 2. So your first interval is going to be -3 to 2. But then at 2, after 2, you go above. So that's y greater than 3. So that won't be in this. So this is it. The answer, -3 to 2, again with brackets, because you're including them. Questions about that? Between 2 and 4, you're above 3. You're peaking above 3, so you don't have anything between 2 and 4. Is that
Okay. And this is a domain, correct? -3 to 2, because
It's
these are
not-
x values.
It's not the domain of the entire graph. That was back here between -3 and 4. That's
Okay.
set of x values for this entire graph. This question was, what are the x values where the y is less than or equal to 3?
And it's an interval question.
It's an interval question, and you read it by reading the interval where your graph is below 3. See, this entire little dip here your y's are less than 3 or equal to 3. They become equal to 3 right on the line, but then they're less than 3 everywhere else.
Correct. And we're reading the x value here
You're
for these
reading
y's that are less than or equal to 3.
Exactly. And the x values start at -3 and they finish
they
at 2.
2. Okay.
Because then above, beyond 2, they go above. So that's not in.
Correct.
It's tricky. It's real tricky. All right. Part E is, they mentioned this earlier, but I didn't cover it earlier. And they're going to make a big deal because they're really making a big deal about this in 2.4. So it's almost a preview of 2.4 here. It basically is find net change between. They give you two x numbers, -3 and 3. Okay, I have not mentioned net change because I did it very briefly, and they're, like I say, making a lot bigger deal about it next section in 2.4, so that's why you choose to make a big deal about it. All right, this works off a slope. The slope of a line. If you had this in high school, pretty recently in high school, everybody remember they called slope M. And they had a formula for it, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Does that ring a bell?
Yes, all coming back to me.
Yes.
Okay. Just to give you a picture of it, you can have your x1, y1 here and your x2, y2 here. For your slope of the line, you subtract the y coordinates, you subtract the x coordinates, and you divide them. Turns out net change, when they use the phrase net change, they just mean the top only. In effect, vertical change. This is y2, and this is at y1. This difference is your vertical change. They also call it rise. If you meant, it's rise over run, if you've heard those two words.
Yes, rise over run. Okay.
In fact, it's the rise only. That's what they, in other words, it's half, the net change is half of a slope problem. It's just the top half. That's all it is. So for these numbers off the graph, they wanted me to do it x equals -3 and at y equals 3. I've got to read the y's. So at x equals -3, again, it's tough to redraw the graph. X is -3, y is 3. I'm sorry, that's an x, my fault. At x equals 3, the y is 4. And usually you do it from largest x to smallest. So for this one, we would make this 4 minus 3, which is 1. You can see it from the graph. The net change from at x equals 3, -3, you're 3 here, up to 4, your difference is 1. Your change is 1. Questions about that?
No, sir.
No, no questions.
Because they're going to ask you about that in 2.4. And by the way, the phrase in 2.4, they don't usually use the word slope in 2.4. Just a coming attraction. We can do some 2.4 problems here in a few minutes. They call this the average rate of change. So if you freak out and hear that phrase, it's nothing but the slope formula. The average rate of change is your slope. It's the full formula. The net change is the top half. Okay, 9 is pretty similar. And then we jump down, if we look at the assignments, we jump down to 11 to 21. For 2-3, we jump down 11 to 21. So that is this bottom little these two little sections right here. And they're about finding domain and range from a graph. And since they are formulas, you want to do what we told you about, looking for problems, looking for square roots, looking for fractions. Y'all want to see any examples of these?
Yes, please.
That'll
Okay.
be
Sure thing. Let's contrast, say, 11 and 13. You may not realize about this. These are kind of so easy, they're hard, but you may not realize about from what they're giving you. It's off page 215, section 2.3. Take a look at 11. All right, pretty simple line, 2x plus 3. And they want you to, part A, graph, and part B, find domain and range. All right, we've talked about graphing on the calculator. Here, 2x plus 3. Oops, so we got a bunch of stuff here. Okay, here we are. You got to give it some numbers for a window. So these are pretty standard, negative 10, 10, 1, negative 10, 10, 1. We get graph. It's a line with a y-intercept of 3. Okay, with no other information given, they want you to assume that this goes forever in both directions. So forever in both directions horizontally, that would make the domain minus infinity to infinity. Again, x min, x max. Then if this is going down, your y's are going to negative infinity, and up, your y's are going to positive infinity. So the range looks identical, but we're always talking about y values. Questions about that? You didn't really need a graph to do domain. You could have done domain straight from the formula. There's no problems with it. There's no square roots. There's no fractions. If there's no square roots or no fractions, that's the automatic domain. Range, though, you sort of need to see from a graph. Questions? Go ahead.
Well, I was just wondering why for the y value 3 wasn't like 3, like 0,3 wasn't in that domain and range. I guess I don't understand why. Oh, I guess, okay, never mind. I just answered my own question.
Okay, no problem. Now contrast this with 13, because they give you a little more information in 13 with the formula. They change the formula to f of x is x minus 2, but they tell you that negative 2 is less than or equal to x is less than or equal to 5. And then they want a part A, they want a graph. Well, when they give you these two x numbers, they are telling you x min and x max. But if I jump to part B, they're just flat out giving me the domain. They're telling me to make the domain bracket negative 2 comma 5. And again, there's brackets because of the or equal to's. If they'd left off one of the or equal to's, there'd have been a parentheses. So you see how this is even easier? They're just flat out giving me the domain.
How would you graph that though?
You run and you,
I don't
yeah, go ahead.
know how to do the or equal, the less than or equal to symbol on the graphing calculator?
Don't worry about it. You enter the formula, what's it, x minus 2, 3, okay. When you go to window, just stick in the -2 and the 5 for x min and x max. And the calculator will only use values from -2 to 5 along x.
Okay. Okay. Yes, I get that. Okay.
So since they didn't tell us the y's, just leave them alone. I'll just leave them -10 and 10. Hit the graph, and I get something that looks like this. Crosses at -2, because that's the y-intercept, and does something like this, rises.
Okay.
Now, the range is a little trickier. I used on the calculator -10 and 10, but that's not the range they want here. Basically, I've got to go to find range at the left side of the domain, given the x equals -2, I got to find y. Well, that will be the y is equal to x minus 2. So y is equal to -2 minus 2, which is -4. So that means this has a y value of -4. And I got to do the same thing for the 5. X equals 5. Find, again, y is equal to x minus 2, which means 5 minus 2, which equals 3. This gives me a range, y min of -4, y max of 3, and again within brackets. In other words, the y value for x equals 5, the y value is 3. So you got to match the x values into the formula to get the y values, and that forms your range. You can see this from the graph. If you take a look, it's a little hard to see, but I don't know if you can tell that, but right at the very end there, you're down 4 tick marks. There's your y of -4. And over here, you're up 3 tick marks. Blow it up a little, see it a little better, but that's how you can see that from the graph. Could have probably read that from the graph. If it's whole numbers are pretty easy to read from a graph, but if it'd been a little weirder numbers, come out fractions or decimals, it's tough to read them off the calculator directly. This is the more general way to do it.
Okay.
Questions about that?
So it's just a plug and play when they're asking for the range. You've got to, you know what your x min and x max are. You plug those in to find your y.
Yep.
And then that becomes, those two y values become your range.
Yep.
Okay.
That's exactly right. And you only do that if they give you this kind of interval.
Okay.
Didn't have to do that on problem 11. If they don't give you any specific x interval, you just assume things go all the way from -infinity to infinity.
Okay.
The last little section, they give you 3 formulas. 17's pretty easy. It's got no problems. It's got no fractions, no square roots. That's just a straight polynomial formula. You got a square root problem in 19 and a square root problem in 21. They want you to sketch a graph of these and find domain and range. You interested in seeing any of those, or would you like to jump on to 2-4?
I would like to see whatever might be on the quiz or test.
Okay. Any of them are fair game, but if you want to try them on your own, then ask me about them again Thursday or something, that's fine.
Okay.
Fine.
I've got about 5 more minutes, and so any question that you think would be a good review for me. I don't know about my friend in this call.
I'm good with anything.
Okay.
It doesn't matter because if both y'all, in fact, I had one student show up at 12 and she left early too. That doesn't bother me anything. We don't take roll or anything. If y'all leave, both y'all leave, got to go do something because it is getting late. I will go on and work a couple of 2-4 problems for anybody watching the recording of this, so that to try to give them an intro to 2-4. Well, you don't have to hang around for that or anything if you don't want to. You can come back and watch the recording later when you have time.
I didn't realize we could do that.
Yeah, I can't even see you. I got no idea if you're there or not.
I'm here, I promise.
Okay. Besides, there's 34 of y'all on the roll and only 2 of y'all showed up. So,
Well, I mean, I guess I didn't know I could see recordings of Zoom calls that I had missed. How do I?
they're under D2L.
Uh-huh.
I have recorded every Zoom meeting we have made. So there's a whole list of them.
Oh, that's wonderful. I had thought once I had missed it, I had missed it.
No. I'm recording all of these. I'm uploading them to YouTube and posting the link to them in D2L.
Okay, great. That's good news. I will look for that in D2L. Thank you.
Yes, if you look, it's in the very left column toward the bottom. It says links to Zoom meetings.
Okay,
And
great.
that is where I'm putting all the links to Zoom meetings. And there's a button for 1111. I got 4 meetings a week with y'all because there's 2 1111 classes, two per class. So yeah, you'll see a whole list. They're there by date.
Wonderful.
I really can't believe what YouTube lets you upload for free.
Yeah, there's a lot of content on. You wouldn't believe how many gaming videos my son likes to upload, and it's just a bunch of, boring games of, Fortnite.
Yeah, I've uploaded hours of video, and just since the start of the semester for all 4 classes, and I'm sitting going, how does YouTube make any money?
I don't. They're advertisements, I guess.
Yeah, well, they're not advertising on my side.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a good question.
Yeah, good point. Okay. Well, so if y'all leave, help yourself. You want me to charge into a couple of 2-4 problems?
That'll be fun.
That would be great. Thank you.
Sure thing. Yeah, I mean, with 2 y'all, I got 34 on the roll. What am I going to do? Start yelling at the 32 who aren't here? I mean, I'd be yelling at the 32 people who didn't show up, Okay, so this is page 224, section 2.4. We'll start with number 7. They give you a graph. Again, no formula on the graph, just a graph. And see the 2 things they want, net change and average rate of change. Well, let me really quick sketch the graph. Let's see, the first dot is over 1 and up 3. Second dot is over 4 and up 5. Curve kind of curves through there. And they give you a dash through like there's a straight line through it. The coordinate center over 1, I'll just write them down. They don't in the book, but just to make this easy, I'll write them down. Over 1 and up 3, and here you're over 4 and up 5. Part A wants net change. That would be the y2 minus y1. And so we'll make that 5 minus, usually you keep it positive, 5 minus 3. And that would be 2. And you can see it off the graph. You change 2 vertically going from here to here, from this point to this point. That's all there is to it. It's really simple. In part B, they want average rate of change. I'll spell it out again, but I usually abbreviate it. AROC. Again, it's y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Now I can repeat, it's absolutely identical to this. I can repeat it. I'm going 5 minus 3, subtracting the y's. On bottom, x2 minus x1. And that's the thing, you got to pair these. So if I play at 5 minus 3 on top, I got to go back to the 4 on bottom, 4 minus 1. Top is 2, bottom is 3. So it's, in effect, this has got a slope of 2/3. You can see it again from the ground. Vertical side to rise is 2, and you're running 3. So there's your 2/3. So that's an example of reading it from the graph. Problems 11 to 21, they are giving you straight formulas. You want to see an example of something like that?
So in the problem that you just did for part B, average rate of change is
Right.
the same. It's the same. They're asking you what the slope is.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yep. Why don't we
Okay.
try something like, you want to do problem 15? It's got different letters. Yeah, don't feel like you got to hang around. If you got other stuff, it's getting to be 9:45.
Okay. Thank you. This is helping though, so I'll stay around for one more question.
Okay, well, sure thing. T equals 3, T equals 6. They want the same two things. A, net change. All right, now generically, I've told you that's y2 minus y1. Well, we got h's and t's here, so you see the t is acting like your x's. This h of t is acting like your y's. I'm going to call this x2 and this x1. So when I want to find y2, I plug 6 into the formula. So my y2 is going to be 2 times 6 squared subtract 6. I'm putting 6 for t in for the t in the formula. 6 squared is 36 times 2 times 36 subtract 6. So I believe 72 minus 6 is 66. That go too fast? In effect, the xy point is 6 and 66. By plugging this into this, I get its y. So the point on this formula, if I did graph it, is x is 6, y is 66. So I'm going to do y1. I plug 3, this 3 into the formula. So that would be 2 times 3 squared subtract 3. 2 times 9 subtract 3, 18 minus 3, I believe that's 15. Is that going too fast?
I'm writing it down. If you would just maybe let me look at that real quick, I can go back and review it a little bit later, but it all makes sense.
Okay. It's probably going to go in the category, it looks so easy when I do it. I seem to know exactly what number to plug where, etc. I guess from 32 years of doing this, I guess that's where it comes from.
So your y1 is gonna be then it's gonna be 3, 15.
Yes,
Correct.
the point is 3, 15. That is correct. So then when I want the net change, I'm just taking y2 minus y1. That would be my 66 minus 15. 51, I believe. My y2 minus y1.
Okay.
I see if I can squeeze on average rate of change. Remember y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. I've already done the y2 minus y1 with this net change, so I'm just going to plug in the 51. Give myself a lot of work. The x2 minus x1 is my 6 minus 3. You just can't get confused if they use strange letters like T's and H's. They don't always use Y's and X's.
Can the AROC give you a whole number?
Well, yeah, it can give you a whole number, and it will in this case, or it can give you a fraction too. This is going to be 51/3. I think that works out 17.
Do you prefer one, or does it matter?
If it comes up a fraction, you need to reduce it.
Okay.
But if you, it's pretty complicated, whatever, you can always divide it, give me a decimal. I should give you.
I didn't know which one you preferred more.
No, it doesn't really matter. Okay, 50 minutes at this, and y'all got things to do. Again, we're only going down through 23 here, so we're not doing any of the rest of the word problems. Don't thank me all at once. Is that enough to get you started into 2-4?
It is. I'm great. Thank you so much, Mr. C. You have a great night.
Same to you. And yeah, unless anybody wants to say anything, we'll end the meeting.
Thank you.
I'm good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.